Hi everybody, Steve Griffiths here, developer of the MTPredictor software program. In today's video I'd like to look at a great example of what I call our Holy Grail trade setup that unfolded on the YM yesterday. So let's have a look at a 3-minute chart of the YM. You can see there was a couple of trade setups here. These were double tops, so there would have only been one trade of this first one, and then there would be one trade setup here. However, these were both against a blue STF, so standard MTPredictor traders would have avoided these and there would have been no trade setups to be had on the YM yesterday. However, what we teach is for the more experienced MTPredictor traders is to go to the higher time frame. So for this, from the 3-minute chart, we'd then go out to the 15-minute chart. And then what do we do? Hang on, I'll just take my analysis off there that was already on the chart. What we do now is place our larger degree analysis on the 15-minute chart. So a couple of things we could have had here. First and foremost, we could have seen that this was the last swing down into this low. So therefore the last major pivot high on our 15-minute chart would have been here. So before the market even opened yesterday, we would have right mouse click on this high, placed our decision point on our chart, and this would have been very important because this would have been a leading indicator. This 15-minute decision point resistance area would have been on the chart before the market even opened yesterday. And as you can see, the market opened, it went up, and look where the YM made its high of the day yesterday, right in this decision point level. So just imagine that, having this 15-minute resistance zone on your chart and actually seeing that the market went up into it and then backed off and came down beautifully. That's the power of these, is they are leading indicators. In other words, they're there leading the market. Another thing we could have done, I'll just drag this off to the left a bit, is as the market was rallying up here, if we right mouse click on this bar here at the top, we would have noticed that this rally was actually a 5-wave sequence. It was actually a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and just look where the high of the day yesterday unfolded in the YM, right at the typical wave 5 WPT. For those of you who experience an Elliott wave, you'll know that wave 5 is what we call a trend termination pattern. In other words, this gave yet another piece of evidence that the YM was making a high as of this bar here. So you had the leading resistance area there. As the market was getting up into that zone, you could then have placed the Elliott wave on as it was going up into there and seen that the market was also making a high at the typical wave 5 WPT. This all unfolded at around 11:30 yesterday. So there you were, 11:30, knowing on the 15-minute charts that the high was probably coming in. While I'm on the 15-minute chart, I'll also put on a target, is that what we teach is after a wave 5 high is complete, the market will normally go to the DP of the wave 4. So in other words, you come back to this wave 4 low, right mouse click, decision point, and again this is on the chart in advance before the market gets there. So as the market was declining down, you knew this was your larger degree target area. This was also the last swing into the high, so yet another reason to add this DP on. So from the 15-minute chart, you could have anticipated the level where the high was coming in. You could have confirmed it as a wave 5 and also had added confirmation that the typical wave 5 WPT at that level was giving you resistance. Therefore, the large degree trend was down, and it was most likely to be down into this DP zone here. Again, all before the market even got there. So let's see how you could have traded this. For this, I'll go down to the 3-minute chart. So here's the situation on the 3-minute chart. I'll just slide this DP off to the right there just to get it out of the our view for the moment. So here was the situation. As of 11:30, which we've already discussed, this time zone here, you knew that the market was making on a 15-minute, i.e. larger degree time frame, a major high. The market then made an initial decline down into about 12 o'clock, just after 12 o'clock. It then made an ABC correction up. If I zoom in a bit, you can see this is our ABC correction up into our TS3 cell. Now in Elliott wave terms, this would be a major high, this would be a wave 1, this would be a wave 2 that subdivides into an ABC. If I place the analysis on, our normal trade setup would be into our first target, but because this is a special case, i.e. our Holy Grail trade setup, we anticipate this is a wave 2, therefore we anticipate at least the market is going to go down into the typical wave 3 WPT which we have on our chart down here. So let's drag this down. So therefore our initial target on this trade would be at least 6.6R. That's why I like these trade setups so much, and this is why MTPredictor was designed in the first place, to be able to get in as the wave 2 correction is ending, to then be able to trade the wave 3, because the wave 3 is the strongest and longest wave in the completed 5-wave sequence. Therefore it represents the largest potential profit for the smallest initial risk, and I think this is the best trade in the book. And the way we do this in MTPredictor, and I think it's far better than most Elliott wave patterns, is most Elliott wave patterns have to try and fit in all the swings within swings and all this different stuff going on. Whereas MTPredictor, what I've discovered is that as long as we have the start of the sequence, which was our 1130 high here, and what I call an important pivot, in other words, a important resistance zone, in other words, a resistance zone on a higher time frame, we can define that as a major high. Once that's defined as a major high, we can then look for the initial decline, or the initial move, which in Elliott wave terms is our wave 1, our initial correction, which is a wave 2, that correction to unfold as an ABC, and that sets up our Holy Grail trade setup. And as you can see, the automatic setup here, the TS3 cell, nailed that absolutely perfectly at our 1309 bar. Typically these are early in a new trend, therefore typically these will be against the STF colour, which as you can see was a blue at the time. So that's why we do the advanced analysis on the 15-minute chart. I'll zoom out a bit, and remember what I did as well on the 15-minute chart is I placed the larger degree 15-minute target down here. So when you are actually in this trade as it was coming down, the market hit the typical wave 3 WPT here, shot straight through it. So from there you would have anticipated that the market was likely to go down to your larger degree target, which is down here. So if I drag the risk to reward down to this level, suddenly it increases our potential trade to 14.4R. Probably once you get to this level you'd probably trailed us above the bar highs and probably be stopped out somewhere here at almost 15R profit. And as you can see, this was absolutely a fantastic trade which had a profit of approximately 15 times the initial risk. In other words, turning an initial risk of approximately $400 into a profit of approximately $6,000. That's why these trade setups are so good, is because the profit is large in relation to the initial risk, because we're coming in at the wave 2, getting ready for a strong wave 3 type swing. The market did actually have a little bit of nerves. I'll just clear this all off here and I'll lose that thing there. We did have a little bit of nerves as this swing was coming in here, but again, this is where the confidence comes in with your knowledge of Elliott wave, because if I right mouse click Elliott wave intermediate, you can see this was an ABC with the high again right at the typical wave CWPT. Typical indicates it's the most likely area, so as soon as that high came in with that red cell bar there, you could anticipate the downtrend would continue, and that's exactly what happened. So for the more advanced traders among you, rather than just being short off this high here down into our large degree target we saw earlier, you could have actually added an additional position here to take advantage as the market came down here as a pyramid. So it could have been a very, very good day yesterday. So that's the definition and a good example of our Holy Grail trade setup, where we go to the larger degree chart. We have our support and resistance zones on our larger degree chart. They are on there in advance, ready. We then look for our major high on our larger degree time frame. We then come down to our shorter time frame to then trade the setup as the first correction after the first move off an important high, and that was defined by our 15-minute resistance. And as you can see, as I've already gone through, that would have got you into a short trade down in here into your larger degree support zone, and the potential profit, as we've already seen, was absolutely massive at approximately 15 times the initial risk. So hopefully this has been a good example of the MTPredictor Holy Grail trade setup, and hopefully now you can see how you can capture these in MTPredictor and why they're such great trade setups to take. Again, this kind of trade setup was the whole reason why MTPredictor was created in the first place some 12 odd years ago now. So a great example there, and one that I hope you all caught. If not, hopefully how you can see you can use the tools in MTPredictor to catch fantastic trades like this for you in your own account.